Hello and konnichiwa minasan. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to our fourth lecture in the online event series. Minasan, oisagashi tokoro kite itadaite domo arigatou gozaimashita. So, the Indo-Japanese Business Council is hosting a series of events as a part of a celebration of 70th anniversary of diplomatic relationship between India and Japan. To celebrate this momentous year, IGBC is organizing lecture series by veteran speakers, panel discussions about India-Japan views, challenges, fireside chat with Shefali, where we will be listening to inspiring videos, inspiring interviews, and of course, the most awaited event is Konichiwa Pune 2022. This is supported by Embassy of Japan, Delhi, and Consulate General of Japan in Mumbai, Government of India, India-Japan Laboratories, KU University, sponsored by tutorbharat.com, Intergist India, Daiichi Japanese Language Solution Nagpur, and Fujitsu. We hope to make together to forge vibrant India-Japan relationship for the future generation. So for more details and to watch our prior video sessions, you can please visit to our website www.ijbc.org. I request all to please keep your mics off. Thank you. So let me welcome our guest today. Today's lecture is Mr. Tomio Isogai, a very popular personality in India, and I believe I do not need to speak about him at all. However, please allow me to introduce him shortly. So Mr. Tomio Isogai is a former managing director of Sharp India Limited. He has a 37 years career at Sharp Corporation and has spent more than 20 years out of Japan, engaging the global sales and marketing, consumer electronics, domestic appliances, communication devices, office automation products, and solar power generation system at the Sharp manufacturers. A global-minded business leader with a diversified experience in more than 60 countries over the world. Residing in 5 countries for more than 25 years, particularly in emerging markets, he once was a member of the Economist Forum in Dubai, UAE, as managing director of SARC Middle East Free Zone Establishment. In early 2017, he came back to India and then he has not looked at back, continually engaged in the building strong India-Japan relationship. At present, he serves as advisor for 6 Indian companies and one multinational company operating in India, which includes well-renowned law firm Kochar and Company. In 2021-2020, he was short-term consultant for National Skill Development Corporation, NSDC, New Delhi, to facilitate and the support TITP, Technical Intensive Technical Training Program, and non-TITP programs to enhance human resource development of the Indian talented youth, and to promote recruitment of them with the decent jobs in Japan. Mr. Isogai has been invited to quite a few events and functions as a guest lecturer, as well as to international conference, seminars, symposiums being organized by many academic institutions that includes IIT Bombay, IIM Calcutta, and IIM Indore. He is also an advisor to Indo-Japanese Business Council, Pune. So to be more precise, he has given more than 150 presentations till the date of 1st April 2021, and the number is still going on. So this is not the time is not permitting me actually to talk about all the detailed work which Mr. Isogai has done. So I will now hand it over to Mr. Isogai and request you to start your lecture.
Hello, very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this very special edition of 70th anniversary Indo-Japan relationship and organized by IJBC. Thank you, Dhanashree-san, for your kind introduction. And I'm very much happy to be back here on this stage and even virtually, and talk about Indo-Japan relationship. As you all know, that we are celebrating 70th anniversary, and this is the right time to really enhance the bilateral relations in between the two countries, and which I believe really from my heart, it's going to be the strongest strongest relationship as the two nations grow. So let me just share my screen right there and start my presentation. Please confirm, is it visible right now?
Not yet. Yes,
Yeah?
it's visible.
Okay. So my title here today is 10 rules to make a success with Japan. So this is mainly for the Indian partners, Indian people who are looking for some good business opportunities with Japan or Japanese companies here in India or in Japan, both ways. So I will touch upon the different perspectives and commoners between the two countries, first of all. And secondly, I will talk about India and Japan as the strongest partners. Number three, becoming world-class manufacturers, especially in the manufacturing sector. There are still great potential in between the two countries. When we get together and collaborate each other, we both can become the world leader in manufacturing. Number four, 10 rules of do's and don'ts. So this is the main topic of discussion today, how to make a success with Japan for you all Indian people. And extra tips to ensure a success with Japan. All right, let me just go through. First of all, I'd like to share, and as always, I'm sharing this, the world map from the global standard. This is for all the Indian people are very familiar with, but this is not the world. Not a single Japanese people are seeing. We are seeing this world just this way. Look at that. From your perspective or this global standard map, Japan is located in the very far east, and Japan looks very far away from the United States. But that is not really true. When you look at this map, now you realize that Japan is closer to the United States, particularly in the West Coast, and Japan is in between the US and India, and even closer to India as well. Of course, we are the Asian families. All right, so it's a totally different perspective. I'm just sharing it with you. Now, one more difference, a very big difference between India and Japan is demography. In the year 2020, I show you this so-called population pyramid. So if you're not familiar with this graphics, the blue color represent boys and men, and yellow color represent girls and women. And this bar, I mean, the bottom line is 0 age and top line is 100 age. So every single step of 5-year age group, there is a bar showing the number of population. So India looks a very young nation, as you all know. Now I will show you in the year 2050, almost 30 years from today, how India will look like in demography. India will look like this. This is as a projected, image. India will enjoy, according to this, India should enjoy the so-called demographic dividend in the coming decades. Number of population, 138 crore, to become even 164 crores, maybe. This is as projected as of today. This is going to be the biggest, largest populated country in the whole world. And you can become the number one, passing the China, which is currently number one, within less than 5 years from today. Maybe before 2025, India will announce India is the most populated country in the whole world and still keep growing. On the other hand, Japan is looking like this. It's a very different shape of the population pyramid. In the year 2050, it will look even much different. Look at this. Look at this shape. Do you know what will be the longest bar here? The longest bar, the most populated segment of the population is from 75 years old to 80 years old. Oh my gosh, right? So this is going to be looking like in the year 2050. And this is what all Japanese people should avoid to be there. See, we need to do something not to make this happen. But anyway, the population-wise, 13 crore to become 11 crores as projected, but the recent projection is even less. Oh, 11.2. It's getting lower and lower projected as time goes, unfortunately. So the point I'm making here is Japan is in desperate need of young manpower. In all industries where no robotics or AI can replace humans, that means a lot. Now, so much of different perspectives, but yet there are many common things that we can share, Indians and Japanese. As you all know, Buddhism was born in India and brought up very strongly and widely and deeply in the Japanese society. This is the largest Buddha statue in Todaiji Temple. This was inaugurated by the Indian monk Bodhisena, who is believed to be the first visitor from India in the 8th century. Japan is a very unique country in religions. We worship nature as God as well as we pray for the Buddha. The same person like me can go to the Buddhist temple and pray for Buddha, and I also go to the shrines to worship gods in the nature. These are the two rocks in the seashore. The bigger rock represents husband, and the small rock represents his wife, and they are connected by a sacred rope, and that's the symbol of the Shintoism here. So it is just one example. We worship nature as God, protecting us in the mountains, rivers, trees, rocks, and so forth. I think this is some similarities of Hinduism as well. All right. Now, I think many of you have heard about the 3 wise monkeys. Yes. Speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. Mahatma Gandhi ji was talking about those 3 wise monkeys some years ago. But did you know that many of the Indians know about these 3 wise monkeys, many of the Japanese people also know about them. Why? Because of this. There is a shrine, Nikko Toshogu Shrine, inaugurated in 1617. So 17th century. Even in the 17th century already, those 3 wise monkeys were there in Japan. And that is another connection and commonness between India and Japan. I think there is no other country in the whole world other than India and Japan who know about the 3 wise monkeys. Interesting? Okay. Mahatma Gandhi ji is standing over there in the Central Park of Tokyo in the Suginami Library. He is welcoming all the visitors from all over the world, standing over there 24 hours. Now, please take a close look at those statues. Those statues are in the same Buddhist temple located in Hiroshima. Those are Benzai Ten on the left, Kangi Ten on the right, on the center, and Tamon Ten on the right. Yes, as you all know, these are all from India: Saraswati, Ganesha, and Kubera. Even Lord Ganesha himself is just one of the deities worshipped by Japanese people in Japan. And I have found with a great pleasure that there are more than 200 Ganesha dedicated temples in Japan, all over Japan. more than 200, big number, dedicated to Ganesha. But interestingly, no Japanese people know about Ganesha itself. They only know by the name of Kangiten, but it's the same God, right? And I don't think any other countries in the whole world we can find such number of Ganesha dedicated temples are there. You may say in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Thailand, yes, you can find some Ganesha temples, yes, I know that, but not as many as 200 numbers. Yes, not only there, but also Lakshmi is also there. Lakshmi is another goddess worshipped under the name of Kichijoten in Japan. So there are so many others. Now, let me talk about Indo-Japan relations. Do you know that Prime Minister Kishida had just visited India last month? In March 19th, there was a summit in New Delhi under the Partnership for a Peaceful, Stable, and Prosperous Post-COVID World. And India and Japan have become a very special strategic and global partnership. It's not no longer a bilateral relations. It's a global partnership it has evolved into. And there is a statement, joint statement released by the two governments. There are many, many points covered, but I just touch upon some of the important things here. The two ministers, prime ministers, expressed their shared intention to realize the Japanese yen 5 trillion of public and private investment and financing from Japan to India in the next 5 years. This 5 trillion Japanese yen translates into almost 3.3 trillion Indian rupees. It's a huge amount of money coming from Japan in the next 5 years. And one more important thing is here, the growing cooperation under the Japan-India Digital Partnership with a view to enhancing digital economy through promotion of joint projects of many, many things, just like mentioned here below. And Indian IT professionals to work in Japan. So Japan is welcoming all IT professionals to come to Japan to work there, to help us, the shortage we are suffering. So you're welcome, even today. Suzuki has already announced their investments in EV, electric vehicles, in India as well, right? And there are 12 JITs, Japan Industrial Townships. There are 12 already established, and one of them is here in Maharashtra, Super Industrial Park. And there will be a 13th number of JITs in the Northeast India soon coming. Quad is another important allies that belong, the two countries, India and Japan. Those are the four countries making an ally: USA, Australia, India, and Japan. As you know, this is Quad. Okay, so this is another reason why India and Japan are getting stronger and stronger in their relationship. Now, Dr. Jaishankar, Subramania Jaishankar on the left, he is the External Affairs Minister of India. Did you know that Mrs. Jaishankar is a Japanese woman? See, so the India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar's wife, is a Japanese, and they have 3 kids already, 2 sons and 1 daughter. As far as I know, one of their sons already married to an American girl, or American woman. If I imagine if I imagine another son of them may get married to an Australian, then it's a completely acquired family. And I hope their daughter will get married to a Japanese boy. I hope. Now, 2022, we are celebrating the 70th anniversary. As you all know, this is the official logo. On the left side is the Japanese logo. On the right side is the Indian logo. I like Indian logo much more. Personally, I like those two birds. Nice. Now, let me tell you one quotation. Let me share one quotation from Swami Vivekananda, whom I really admire and respect. Do you know he has visited Japan on the way to the United States, and he spent 3 weeks time in Japan, and he appreciated all the Japanese people and culture there. He wanted to come back, but he couldn't do that because of his health conditions. Swami Vivekananda said in 1894, when he was in Chicago, what he said: Western efficiency and dynamism, combined with Indian spiritual values, will create the best management system in the world. Very well said. And India has followed his words and done a great job. But let's take a look at some reality. The World Competitiveness Index, the World Competitiveness Index 2021 by IMD from Switzerland. It's a academic research institute in Switzerland. They released the ranking in 2021. Japan was ranked 31, up 3 from the previous year. The top 10 were Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands, Singapore, Norway, Hong Kong, Taiwan, UAE, and USA. Yeah, IMD is a European and Switzerland-based researcher, and no wonder many Europeans are on the top ranked. Now, can you guess where is India? Do you know where India was ranked by this index? It was ranked 43, same as the previous year. Not too bad, but not too good either. All right. Why? Because your neighbors, look at the neighbors. China 16, South Korea 23, Malaysia 25, Thailand 28. Those are even better than Japan, actually. Indonesia 37, Philippines 52. So for India, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia are even ahead of you. All right. So you still have a long way to catch up. Now, next index was Global Manufacturing Risk Index by Cushman & Wakefield for the 2021. So this is the latest index that I can share with you. Amongst 47 countries, the risk ranking shows number 1 was China, number 2 Canada, number 3 USA, number 4 Finland, number 5 Czech Republic. This is the least risk ranking. And the cost ranking shows number 1 China again, Indonesia number 3, Vietnam number 4, Thailand number 5. And baseline ranking, number 1 again China, number 2 India, wow, great. Number 3 USA, number 4 Canada, number 5 Czech Republic. So it's good to see India has grown up, coming up in the ladder. Number 3, number 2, right? It's very good to know because India was not there the last year. Okay, it has come growing up, coming up. But You still see China is number one there, 1, 2, 3, all China, right? You still have a long way to catch up with China. And do you know what to do? What will be done for that? I have the solution. If we work together, India and Japan work together, then India can come up much faster to these indexes. So my message to all of you, Japanese teamwork spirit and accountability combined with Indian Jugaad concept will create the best manufacturing system in the world. You know, the Swami Vivekananda was talking about the management system. I'm talking about the manufacturing system. If we work together in India and Japan, then there is a potential and great opportunity that we can become the #1 manufacturers in the world. I believe in this. Now, let me just share with you this article. Compared with ASEAN countries, where all the Japanese people already gone there, invest a lot, especially in manufacturing and many other sectors as well. ASEAN was closer to Japan. So all the Japanese major companies, even the small companies, have gone to ASEAN and made a great success. And they are still not coming to India yet. Why? Why? They have gone, so many Japanese companies have gone to China, but not to India. Why? I want to tell you why. This is one article that you can just refer to. For Japanese companies, India continues to be a tough terrain to do business. For them, for the Japanese people, India is a harder place when compared with ASEAN, where Japan has a significant presence already. India has scaled up to the 63rd ranking in terms of ease of doing business globally, from 142nd in the year 2015. That's great. But still 63rd. It's very, very low. The related concern was raised by Mr. Sato, Chief Consul General of Japan in Mumbai at Konnichiwa Pune last year. He said, from the point of view of the business environment in India, Japanese companies still feel that India is a harder place to do the business as compared to ASEAN countries in terms of regulations, tax systems, and labor relations, and so on. I can tell you more about that. Okay. Now, the Japanese companies operating in India are exporting merely 18% of their products to global markets, and the rest is sold in the domestic markets. So Mr. Sato said, the export sales ratio of Japanese companies in many ASEAN countries is in the upper 40 to 50 zone. Even Japanese companies in China have a 33% export sales ratio. On the other hand, in India, the export sales ratio of Japanese companies remains at a low of 18%, almost half of that China. Why? He advised that India's excellent human resources in the area of information technology, IT, and Japan's strengths in technology quality standard, and the fast supply chain it has in Asia could be combined to bring benefit to all the people in the region. So here is one solution Mr. Sato is proposing. Yeah, working together. India's excellent human resources, excellent IT expertise, and Japan's strengths in technology, quality standard, and supply chain. That can be combined and to make India-Japan collaboration stronger and strongest, maybe, than China. Okay? Now, let me tell you this. This is a fact. Japan's trade, just take a look at this. This is Japan's trade, overall trade, import and export together. Okay? China is dominating. See, China is dominating as 24%, constantly more than 20% since last 10 years. All right? ASEAN comes next. This is ASEAN. ASEAN comes next. 15% of total is coming from ASEAN. US is the third. And European Union is the next. If you take a look at this from the country-wise, look at this. In the year 2020, the Japan's trade comes from which regions? Look at this. Even Thailand itself has the 3.9% of overall global business, global trade from Japan. For the Japanese people, Thailand is much, much bigger than India. India is like this. See? Still very, very small portion. Only India is only 1.1% of total business, over global business from Japan. That means not so important. That's one of the reasons why Japanese companies are not coming to India. Maruti Suzuki or Suzuki Corporation, Suzuki Motor Company was really an exceptional case. And they made a great, great success, as you all know. See? So this is one thing that I like to tell you. For Japanese people, India is not important yet, I would say. They will recognize in the future, in the coming years, as the population grows, as all the educated people are coming out, right? And all the middle class people, families are growing, yes, it will come. Just like Japan made a big stride to China decades ago. It will come to India, I'm sure for this. One more thing. These are the number of expats, Japanese expats living in foreign countries. Take a look at those numbers. USA is the most. See, the Japanese people living in foreign countries, USA number 1, China number 2, Thailand number 3. Thailand number 3. More than 80,000 people are living, more than 80,000 Japanese people living there in Thailand. As compared to India, only 9,000, right? Only 9,000 people living from Japan to India. Why? Why? There are certain reasons why, right? And look at those other countries, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan. Yes, all these are our neighbors, yes, and very close relationship. But Vietnam, look at the Vietnam number, 23,000. Look at Indonesia, 18,000. Double number, right, than India. Philippines, look at this. Philippines is a very small country, but there are more than 15,000 people, Japanese people living there. Much, much bigger number than here in India, right? So this is something that all Indian people should look at it. And the reality and the reason why Japanese people are not coming to India. One example is here. Okay. Oh, no. Let me go. Just before that, there is a good news. Okay. 156 Japanese firms stayed away from investing in China last 1 year. This is a great, good movement. This is ambassador, your Indian ambassador to Japan, His Excellency, Mr. Barma. Okay. He said, Japanese companies are not moving out of China, and 14,000 companies that invested in China continue to remain in China, but there are new and interim investments going away from China. In the last 1 year, 156 companies that could have invested in China invested outside this country. And going to China is not for their market, but for the international supply chain. So there is a good move here. And Professor Chaudhary of JNU also said, I feel this is the chance to attract the Japanese companies to India. But sadly, it's not been the way Vietnam and Indonesia have been able to attract them. We need to create cultural affinity, increase people-to-people exchange, and need to tell them that India is the place to come. Yes, it's a good sign. Now, continue. While commenting on the issue of Japanese investment going ASEAN more than India, see, why go to ASEAN not to come to India? Ambassador Barma said that the ASEAN offered to them a similar facility. This is one single market, therefore logistics are easier and one custom union, and it's much easier for them to arrange for the logistics. When they go to ASEAN, they go for the supply chain integration. So Ambassador Barma said, India has the advantage. It's a one nation. See, it's a big one nation to attract Japan to come. So there is a better supply chain integration amongst the Japanese companies themselves in ASEAN. Therefore, in ASEAN has a lure to attract them to its region. Yes, ASEAN has done a great job because of being an ASEAN group of companies, countries. They could make standardized, right? They could make all the business ecosystem standardized, right? Now, he said, we need to pay a lot of attention to the supply chain ecosystem that will attract the Japanese more. So supply chain ecosystem is one. Infrastructure is another, of course. But I will tell you one more important point, as I was telling you, why so many Japanese people are going to ASEAN and not to come to India. Look at this. Look at this. Here is one good example. Here is one guy trying to attract more attention from Japanese experts to come to New Delhi and NCR region, and he has already expanded to Gujarat. See, for those Japanese people who are coming to Japan from Japan to India, they need such facilities as this is, you know what it is? Public bathing, ofuro, public bathing, right? Spa, and this is what it is. Individual tub, bus tub for the bathroom. Many of the Indian hotels and accommodations, they don't have this. They don't have this. But all the Japanese people need this. Without this bus tub, they don't want to stay. All right? This is something very important. And golf, playing golf is the major attraction for many Japanese people. And Japanese restaurant, Japanese food, this is sukiyaki. And another entertainment, karaoke, right? See, those entertainment facilities and amenities, accommodations, all these are very necessary to attract attention and invite Japanese investors to come to India. And this guy is doing a great job to that extent, right? He has done a great job because all his hotels will accommodate all these facilities and amenities. So all the visitors from Japan, all the expats from Japan are very happily living in India, just as many Japanese people live in ASEAN countries, particularly in Thailand, happily, right? This is something still India is missing a lot, okay? Now, there is one article, it was interesting also. In 2019, the share of manufacturing in India's GDP stood at the 20 years low. Most foreign investment has poured into service sectors such as retail, software, and telecommunications. Make in India has failed, replaced by the government that never admits defeat with a call for self-reliance. Yet the bureaucrats in New Delhi are back to picking winners and directing state funding to favored sectors through new production-linked incentive PLI schemes, in which companies apply for extra funding for the state for 5 years in return for expanding manufacturing in India. India's haphazard foray into industrial policy is going to fail, just as Make in India did. So this is a very bitter news, right, for all the manufacturers in India. But I have a hope. I have a hope. I'm not agreeing to this. I'm just showing this as a reference, but I do have a hope that India can succeed in making India policy. How? Here is one good solution. Becoming world class, lessons from Made in Japan. This is a great textbook for all the Indian manufacturers to learn it from. Okay, this is authored by Dr. Prem Motwani, a close friend of mine. He's the ex-professor at JNU, by the way. And his book was really showing the solution, okay? And I'm skipping this, okay? This book contains like this, okay? And it is discussing the approach using TPM, total productive maintenance, or total productive management, as the umbrella to become a world-class company. So if you are a manufacturer, if you are aspirant to make the Make in India as a big success, then please learn from him, okay? There is so much to learn from him. He said, if both the government, if both the government and the industry can work together within the framework of a property defined Make in India and redesign the manufacturing model, as was done by Japan to establish Made in Japan, it can work at both the industry level as well as the national level. So if you're interested in this book, I recommend, it's a 470 pages book. It's a very thick book, so it's very hard to read it through, but just read the preface, chapter 2, the Japanese management practices in India, and chapter 5, manufacturing in India, a cultural perspective, and chapter 7, conclusion. This is my great, strong recommendation for all of you. If you are a manufacturer, either in the hardware or software, please read this book and you can learn a lot from this. Now, the main topic of discussion today, 10 basic rules for you Indians to make a success with Japan. Do's and don'ts, okay? Let me go from the first do's. 5 do's. Number one, get someone who will connect you. Don't knock on the door for any Japanese company without any introduction from anybody that can connect you. Number two, keep your words big or small. Even if it's a very small word, meaning small promise, never fail it. Never fail it. If you fail to make it, even for a small thing, once you fail it, game is over. Game is over. Don't ever make a mistake for that. Okay? Even a small thing, you can just keep it, all right, and make it happen. Number three, be punctual to the minute, not minutes. See the difference? Japanese people are too extreme punctual, too extreme punctual. See, for Indians, it is too much, maybe. But when you go to Japan, be punctual. If you are in India, fine. But if you go to Japan, visit Japan, be punctual to the minute. Even 1 minute late is not acceptable. Number four, be straight to say no on early stages. I tell you this why, because in my experience for the last 10 years of dealing with Indian people never say no, only yes. When they say no, no problem. That's it. That's not good. All right. You may say no if you feel it's not possible. If you think it's not happening, then don't say yes, but yes, say no on the early stages. Otherwise, it will be a big waste of time for you too. Number five, keep it a long-term relationship. Many Indian people think about very short-term business. Just for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, not enough, not enough. You have to think about 5 years to 10 years, longer relationship. Okay? Now, it all depends on who you are dealing with. Okay, this is important for you to know. If you're talking to the owner of the company, of a small company or a MSME, right? Then it is a little bit different from this, all right? But if you're talking to a junior clerk, junior manager, okay, in the middle class manager who you are dealing with, then those things can apply, all right? But when you are talking to the owner or the founder of the company, of the Japanese companies, then something may be adjusted in this, all right? Now, next is, more importantly, 5 don'ts with Japan. Number 1, never say no problem or 100%. See, as I said, many Indian people say very simply and easily, no problem. See, as I said, Indian people say yes, yes, yes. And when they say no, no problem. But don't do that. Don't say no problem or 100%. Indian people tend to say very easily and very lightly 100%. But it doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, the excuse will come, right? That is not very good. Number 2, do not ask anything in a short notice. For meeting, for telephone conversation, or anything. When you ask to Japanese companies, give at least 1 week time notice. Ideally, 2 weeks time notice. When you are visiting in Japan to visit some companies there, give at least 1 month notice, right? Number 3, do not expect a quick answer from them. Japan is not controlled by one person. Japanese corporations are very much institutional, so they cannot make a quick decision. Even though you meet some managers, directors, some high-ranking officials, but they may not have the authority to make a decision right away. So it may take 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes 1 month to make a very big decision for them. Okay. Number 4, never give excuses. Just apologize first. So whenever you fail in something, do not give any excuses. Just apologize them. Right? When you are asked what happened to you, then you can give excuses. But otherwise, do not give from the very beginning any excuses for any errors, any failures that you have made. Right? It is going to be very, very distorting of the trust. Okay. Number 5, do not negotiate once committed. Once you are committed, never come back to negotiate it again. But there are certain cases. Whenever forced, that the situation got changed, the environment changed, and if you need to negotiate again for something that you have already agreed upon, then there are certain ways to do that. But don't just abruptly come to negotiate once something that you have been already committed to. Okay. So those are the 5 don'ts that I come up with. And very importantly, in Japan, nothing is personal, all institutional. Don't forget that. See, many Indian people take very personal things personally. When you meet somebody, when you agree with somebody, you take it as a personal agreement. But nothing can be personal in Japan. If you are the owner of the company, MSME, yes, it can be, but not even MSME in Japan cannot make a personal decision. Okay, everything is institutional. So just remember that. Okay, of course, it depends on which level of the corporation is that. It's a huge, corporation or small micro level of company with a very limited number of managers. It depends, of course. Okay. So let me just repeat it again. 5 do's. Get someone who will connect you. Keep your words big or small. Be punctual to the minute, not minutes. Be straight to say no on early stages. Make it a long-term relationship. But remember, it depends on who you deal with. Don'ts. Never say no problem or 100%. Do not ask anything in a short notice. Do not expect a quick answer. Never give excuses, just apologize first. Do not negotiate once committed. But remember, nothing is personal, all institutional in Japan. Now, some extra tips to avoid failures with Japan. If you are looking for M&A, okay, or joint ventures, I'm talking more about the joint ventures here, not M&A actually. It has to be a joint venture. Sorry about that. I mean it's a joint venture company. Then some more tips. Follow the majority holder for 1 year. See, if the Japanese company, the joint venture partner is a majority holder, majority stakeholder, then follow everything that they say for just 1 year. All right. In the very first 1 year, just follow them as they say. This is what happened in ASEAN countries. See, in the many cases, ASEAN people just listen to the Japanese investors, and many of them are the majority holders, so they just follow. Number two, discuss in details when this agreement is there. Whereas any disagreement for the policy, for the way of operations, any relation of human relation matters, right? Any disagreement is there, discuss thoroughly in details together, all right, until you come up with a solution. Don't leave it alone there without solution to any disagreement. Whenever you have a disagreement, you have to discuss very deep into that. Number three, keep all records, all correspondence, all communication records or minutes of the meeting and readily accessible at all times, so that you can just remember, you can just recover from them, or you can just refer to them. See, in the future, it's going to be very much productive in discussion. And MSEs, if you are MSEs, micro small enterprise, I mean, if you are micro small enterprise, then these are some of the tips. Number one, seek chemical matching of the owners. The two owners, the Indian owner of this micro small company and the Japanese counterpart, the two founders or two owners or managing directors or presidents must be in a good chemical match. You know what I mean? Chemical match, no? Okay. They have to be in line, in good communication, good, compassion, like that. And next, check each one of the vision and mission statements, if they are also matching or not. Okay. The small company, but you have to have a mission, you have to have a vision, and you have to share with them. Then you get the same thing from your counterpart in Japan and see if they are matching or not. Number three, ensure synergy. Okay. Ensure synergy between the two companies, your company and Japanese counterpart. If there is a synergy effect, I tell you, Indian Jugaad is a good sense of synergy to make, all right? Because Japanese companies, Japanese people, they don't have the concept of Jugaad. So this concept of Jugaad, when it's seen in the positive side of it, when you take the positive side of Jugaad, flexibility, adaptability, and less consuming any extra costs and saving costs and so forth, saving time and saving costs. These things are the positive side of Jugaad. If you use this as a synergy effect, then it will be a great success. So finally, last advice for you all: hire a Japanese speaking person, either a Japanese national or Indian national, either way. But you will need somebody in your company who speaks well Japanese and communicate well with the Japanese people and knowing the culture as well. It's very, very important. Okay. IJBC has started to make a list of all the bilingual professionals, right? IJBC has come up with a bilingual list of people, right? You can take advantage of that. Just ask IJBC if you are thinking to hire somebody as a bilingual. Bilingual in this case means Japanese and English, all right? So those are the points that I wanted to make. See, in conclusion, yes, as you all agree, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When you go to Japan, do as the Japanese do. When they come to India, Tell them they should do as the Indians do. Okay? And ASEAN people have accepted all kinds of investments from Japan, all kinds of new business rules and ethics they have followed. Indian people are so clever, okay? Indian people are so intelligent, so they have their own way. They have their own ideas. So sometimes Indian people, they don't accept Japanese way of thinking, Japanese way of doing business. But that is a big mistake. If you are really thinking about the true success with the Japanese people, Japanese companies, at least if they are the majority holder, just follow them for 1 year only, and then see what the results was. Okay, then discuss it. If you have some different ideas other than the Japanese people have, discuss it very deeply until you come up with a solution and agreement. So those are the major points that I wanted to make here for you to make a success business with Japan. All right. So let's build a very solid partnership for prosperous future together. Thank you so much for your attention. Back to you, Dhanashree.
Thank you very much for your wonderful and informative speech, Mr. Isogai. I really hope the rules which you have shared and the information you have shared is very much helpful insights. So, and as Mr. Isogai also said that Indo-Japan Business Council has organized a bilingual directory. You can visit to our website and you can check about details. Those who don't have certifications and only speaking abilities, those people can also register in the bilingual. There is no restrictions that you should have any certification. So we will move towards the question and answer part, but let me tell you one thing, only one question, one person, and we are already running out of the time. So I would request no comments. Those who have comments, please drop it in the chat box. Thank you. So there is one question in the chat box when I asked, it was about what SSW program, Prakash Goyal. Could you please ask your question in little bit elaborate?
How can we place and how can we study in Japan? So we want to send a student from here.
Well, there are certain ways that you have to follow, and you have to get them tested, and they have to be certified, right? The language, the skill set. That's it. You just have to make them Japan ready.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Prakash. Well, thank you so much. Any other question?
Just we have started a Japanese language institute in our region. Jodhpur.
Okay.
And I already worked with Japan, skilled worker. My company already
Sent almost 500 plus people. They are working in Japan. We have placed there.
Okay, you can later on contact to IJBC, connect back, and we can have discussion in detail.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dhanashree, there are some questions in the chat box.
So we are dealing in Japanese food grocery. I'm looking for support from Japanese company, Mr. Alpesh Hammer. So for support again, I guess you can connect back to IJBC and you can consult with IJBC. IJBC can help you out for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One more in the chat box before that.
So that was about the bilingual directory, I guess, that we need certification to register in the bilingual directory. As I mentioned, there is no certification needed to register in bilingual directory.
Okay.
Anyone else wants to ask any question?
I think everyone understood my points and all clear.
Yes, I suppose that. And so with the note of the silence, I'll go to the thanks mode. It is said that success is not about what you accomplish in your life, but it is about what you inspire others to do. So on behalf of IGBC and from the audience, I really thank you, Mr. Isogai, for inspiring the audience. Thank you for the 10 rules which you have shared. Thanks the whole IGBC team for organizing this lecture. Thanks to our sponsors, tutorbharat.com, Intergist India, Daiichi Japanese Language Solution, Nagpur, and Fujitsu. Thanks to our event partners, Simbi Lab, Nanobiz, Rao and MR, Bab and Company, Ichiban Enterprises, Asian Community News, The Lingo, and KU University. These events can happen only because of you. Thanks to the all audience for showing the interest and participating in this lecture. I once again thanks everyone who is directly and indirectly involved in this program. So right now we can see that there is a deep need just for the guidance. And though today's lecture is concluded, we are going to come back with another special lecture to guide you. The second special lecture in the series by IJBC and IJL, India-Japan Laboratory, which is on information technology, innovation, and industries. This session will help you to understand a changing scenario in Indian IT industries and current trends and possibilities from Japanese perspective. The speakers are Mr. Yukio Takeyari, Senior Researcher at Keio University, Senior Managing Director, Sony India Software Center Private Limited, and Mr. Siddharth Deshmukh, President of Indo-Japan Business Council, and co-founder and CEO of Simbi Labs. The lecture will be on 23rd of April, 4 p.m. IST and 7:30 p.m. GST. So for more details and registration, please visit our website, www.igbc.org. Till then, stay tuned and stay healthy. どうもありがとうございました。